Welcome back, everyone. There's some crucial new information dropping today, and it absolutely demands our attention. The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has just laid out plans to impose duties on Russian oil imports into the European Union, with the goal of completely halting them by the end of this year. According to von der Leyen, this new measure is primarily aimed at Hungary and Slovakia, two nations that have, shall we say, continued their rather cozy relationship with Russian raw materials. Now, let's be frank, this move is long overdue. For too long, Europe has been tethered to an aggressor, funding a regime that continues its systematic oppression in Ukraine. Any steps to cut these ties, to truly isolate the source of conflict, are steps in the right direction, no matter how politically challenging they may be for certain member states. It's about collective security, not individual convenience. I used to work inside a big and well-known media outlet, saw how stories were twisted to fit the narrative, and I walked away. Now I'm independent, I speak freely, and I tell you what really matters. If you find value in these unfiltered insights, please do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you're able, consider becoming a sponsor. Your support is what keeps this platform going, allowing us to keep digging and bringing you the unvarnished truth. As many of you know, President Donald Trump has repeatedly urged European nations to stop purchasing energy resources from Russia. He reiterated this demand just yesterday at the UN General Assembly, and von der Leyen rather pointedly echoed his sentiment, stating that Trump is absolutely right on this matter. Interestingly, the head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas, reacted quite favorably to Trump's recent statements regarding Ukraine's chances to reclaim control over its internationally recognized territories. Kallas didn't hide her satisfaction, calling Trump's statement very strong. Meanwhile, over in Germany, following Trump's remarks, the declarations began. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul announced that Europe needs to grow up, become more sovereign, and see what Europeans can achieve on their own. He expressed complete satisfaction that now there are all possibilities to act independently. This sudden urge for European autonomy after years of transatlantic dependence is certainly intriguing. What exactly has changed beyond a few words from a former US president that suddenly unlocks this potential for independent action? It sounds less like a strategic shift and more like a reaction, perhaps even a scramble to adjust to a changing global dynamic. But hold on, there's more from Germany. Chancellor Friedrich Merz declared that the nation is facing one of the most difficult stages in its modern history amidst global upheavals. He was speaking in the Bundestag, presenting a record-breaking defense budget for the coming year, which includes unprecedented spending specifically for defense. The strained international situation, naturally, was the core theme of his address to the deputies. Merz also stated that climate policy in Germany would be without ideology, and that climate protection that destroys the industrial base will not receive public support. This is a significant shift, signaling a potential reprioritization of economic realities over environmental idealism, or at least a more pragmatic approach. It makes you wonder how long this sentiment has been brewing beneath the surface. In related news, the German Chancellor's approval ratings continue to plummet. Only 26% of Germans express satisfaction with his work, while a striking 62% are openly dissatisfied. Now here's where it gets interesting. Donald Trump's warnings to Europe about how unchecked immigration and climate policies are eroding its heritage and leading to an unprecedented catastrophe. Those warnings, European leaders have remained conspicuously silent on. No comments from them, at least not yet. However, analysts and experts in Germany have taken a rather critical view of Trump's speech. In their opinion, Trump built his entire address around himself, essentially telling other countries they would fail if they didn't simply copy his policies. He also, apparently, views international organizations like the United Nations as a waste of time. Now, about some of Trump's most talked about words, when he posted on social media, "We will continue to supply weapons to NATO so that NATO can do with them what it deems necessary. Good luck, everyone." This, it seems, was Donald Trump's subtle way of signaling that the United States is, shall we say, stepping aside. The implication for Europe is that they will now be fully responsible for aiding Ukraine and thus bearing all the associated costs. And this isn't just speculation. We already have an announcement from the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who declared today, "The United States of America is not going to interfere in any military actions or any other situation. We will sell weapons to the Europeans, and the Europeans can then transfer them." Just like that, straight to the point, The U.S. Treasury Secretary confirmed that the United States is indeed withdrawing its direct involvement. This is the message for now, for today. What comes next? Well, that remains to be seen, especially given that no one knows the details of Donald Trump's very lengthy recent conversation with Chinese leader Xi. So, what was decided with China and what that means for the future, only time will tell. We'll be watching, but one thing is clear. A massive intrigue has been created and there's no escaping that. If you're still with me, and I hope you are, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you make of all these geopolitical shifts. Now, shifting gears to the United Kingdom, they've also cooked up their own brand of intrigue. They announced the apprehension of a suspect believed to be involved in a massive cyberattack last Friday. This was the attack I previously reported on, which crippled the electronic check-in systems at 4 European airports. The National Crime Agency, a body over there, announced that a man in his 40s was detained last Tuesday on suspicion of malicious use of computer systems. Then, quite unexpectedly for many, he was released under certain conditions. Who he is and where he's from, they're keeping under wraps for now, but we'll see what they announce soon. As I mentioned, the intrigue is certainly building. It's also come to light, and this is being widely discussed, that the head of the IAEA, Rafael Mariano Grossi, has become the very first to put forward his candidacy for the post of Secretary General of the United Nations. He's already trying to garner support from Donald Trump. Grossi also discussed his intentions with Secretary of State Rubio and Special Representative Witkoff when he visited Washington to deliver a report on Iran. Grossi himself reported that he also discussed his candidacy with diplomats from the European Union and India. He needs support from everyone, as Grossi stated in an interview. The term of the current UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, whom we all know, ends on December 31st, 2026. So, the first candidate is already out there. Grossi clearly isn't waiting around to be asked. A little earlier, it's worth noting, Annalena Baerbock specifically hinted that a woman has never held the position of Secretary General of the United Nations, and she deemed this unacceptable. Baerbock emphasized that in the 21st century, with women occupying key positions in governments, corporations, and international organizations, the absence of a woman at the helm of the United Nations appears to be a lack of progress. So, the hint from her side was quite specific. There's a woman ready to take on any challenges and lead the UN. It seems the most interesting developments are still ahead on that front. Now let's talk about the flotilla, which is slowly but surely making its way laden with humanitarian aid for Gaza. There are reports of a new drone attack. According to the organizers, more than 15 drones were circling above the vessels, dropping unknown objects, jamming communications, and on some boats, explosions were even heard. The activists on board declared, "We are not afraid. Every attack only strengthens our resolve." They've called on the Greek Coast Guard to protect the people and the ships, and have appealed to world leaders at the UN General Assembly to take immediate action. Just to remind you, the objective of this mission is to break the blockade of Gaza and deliver food, water, and medicine. On board are well-known activists, including, of course, Greta Thunberg and former Barcelona Mayor Ada Colau. The activists suspect Israel is behind the attacks, though, frankly, there's absolutely no proof of that whatsoever at this point. But there is plenty of noise and panic. Italy's defense minister, Guido Crosetto, has already ordered a military frigate to assist the humanitarian aid flotilla heading to the Gaza Strip after they reported the drone attack. Commenting on the incident, Crosetto stated that Italian citizens are also on board the flotilla vessels and expressed strong condemnation of the assaults. We'll keep watching what happens next, though at the speed they're sailing, the final destination is still a long way off. But let's set all that complex stuff aside for a moment. There are some truly interesting things happening today. In the wonderful, magnificent capital of Germany, Berlin, something incredible is unfolding. There, Kurt Krieger wants to invest 1 billion euros in the construction of a new residential quarter. The plan is grand. 2,500 apartments, parks, kindergartens, schools, everything a city needs, everything necessary. But what's standing in his way isn't competitors or even bureaucracy. It's toads, real, genuine natterjack toads, listed in the Red Book. Krieger bought the land way back in 2009, paid compensation to the gardeners, and even relocated the toads themselves. But environmentalists, the Greens, are up in arms, protesting. The plot of land where the toads were relocated is too small for them, it turns out. And there are also lizards nearby. They need to be considered too, as they are also protected. So now, the construction problem is being resolved in court. The thing is, in Berlin, major construction projects frequently run into environmental organizations. According to Krieger, not a single project goes without legal battles. But he's not giving up. He's been fighting for this plot for 15 years and is still determined to build 30% social housing. It's a testament to something, isn't it? That a €1 billion project can be held up by amphibians and reptiles. It certainly makes you question the priorities, or at least the efficiency, of urban development in some parts of Europe. And now, over in the United States, they continue to surprise the world. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, an unexpected voice emerged. 19-year-old Violet Affleck, yes, the daughter of the world-renowned Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, was speaking. She approached the world leaders wearing a mask, and not just because. She declared, "The pandemic is not over," and called for a return to mandatory mask wearing in public places. You heard that right. She criticized adults for their desire to return to normal daily life and loudly expressed dissatisfaction that the world is ignoring the ongoing pandemic. So, yes, these things also happen in our time. In summary, we've covered the EU's move towards halting Russian oil imports, Germany's push for sovereignty and increased defense spending alongside declining approval ratings, and the US signaling a shift in its role regarding aid to Ukraine. We've also touched on the UK's cyberattack arrests, Grossi's early bid for UN Secretary-General, and the ongoing humanitarian flotilla in the Mediterranean. Finally, we've seen the unique challenges of construction in Berlin and a rather surprising plea from a celebrity's daughter at the UN. These are the informational points for today, for now, and they tell us quite a lot. What do you think about everything that's happening? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this discussion and want to stay informed, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you feel this content is valuable, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support truly makes a difference. Until next time, all the best.